Today I will start with a story, don't get me wrong. We'll be talking about artificial intelligence here. As we all have that friend who is always fashionably late to every party in the world of technology, that could be Apple. It's finally joined the AI race, unveiling Apple's intelligence. It means new apps, new AI features, and AI-powered Siri. But the important update here is that Apple AI revolution will be powered by OpenAI, the same company that made ChatGPT. It sounds like a great partnership, but not everyone is happy about it, including Elon Musk. He says this is a massive threat to the data security, but is it really? Good afternoon, this is the ambassador. With me, your ambassador, Jennifer Macau. Now, as we continue with our AI Apple story, the world of AI is fast-paced and a cutthroat. If you can't keep up, then you are out. So for months, Apple found itself in an unexpected position. The trendsetter of the tech verse was lagging behind. As Microsoft, Google, and Amazon galloped ahead, Apple and found itself trotting along. The company was busy polishing old iPhones into new models instead of driving into the new murky waters of machine and learning. But not anymore. Apple has finally joined the race, and they are not just dipping their forces in the water, they are doing a full cannonball. Here is more.
Apple Intelligence is the personal intelligence system that puts powerful generative models right at the core of your iPhone, iPad, and Mac. It draws on your personal context to give you intelligence.
In Apple, AI stands for Apple Intelligence. It envisions future where the AI system knows all about you. Can you use that knowledge to get more information and turn it to take action on your behalf? Essential for this plan is Siri, Apple's virtual assistant. When Siri was first introduced, it was revolutionary, but now it feels more like a relic, more bygone era. For years, it has been outclassified by the Alexa and the Google assistants, relegated just to setting timers and alarms, but Siri is now making a comeback. It will have the ability to answer questions using what is on your screen and the knowledge from across various applications. Listen in.
For example, you'll be able to say, "Show me my photos of Stacy in New York wearing her pink coat," and Siri will bring those right up. Then you might say, "Make this photo pop," and Siri will enhance it.
But the peace resistance of Apple's AI comeback is the newly minted partnership with OpenAI, the same OpenAI that powers ChatGPT. It will now power the Apple's AI revolution, but the move hasn't come without a backlash, especially from Elon Musk. He says it is a threat to data security and has threatened a ban to the iPhones, as it has on all its companies. Musk fears that Apple is compromising its data privacy to get ahead of the AI race. But is that truly the case? Well, not really. Apple says that privacy is still a top priority for the company. So how will it work with the OpenAI? Then it is quite simple. When the ChatGPT is given an Apple query, the information will pass on to the OpenAI, but Apple will ask for the user's permission. It also says OpenAI can't store for the data or train its systems on it. Listen in.
Your data is never stored or made accessible to Apple. It's used exclusively to fulfill your request. And just like your iPhone, independent experts can inspect the code that runs on these servers to verify this privacy.
So brand new updates and AI powered by Siri, and all without jeopardizing users' privacy. It sounds great, so what is the catch? In a classic Apple fashion, the new AI features will have limited backward capability. In layman terms, this means that to enjoy the new features, you will need to buy a new iPhone. What about your old perfectly fashionable iPhone? Well, it is a good case. It is a strategy as old as the time, or at least as old as the iPhone. And Apple seems to have mastered it. They are diving headfirst into the world of AI with a plan. That's a part of a genius, but marketing fluff and entirely Apple. While Tim Cook and company may have joined the AI race late, don't rule them out just yet. Moving on, the United Nations Security Council adopted a comprehensive ceasefire plan for the Gaza war, with the United States leading the effort. The plan, which received 14 votes in favor, aims to end the conflict and pave the way for a negotiated two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. The resolution announced by President Joe Biden recently included a 6-week ceasefire and the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for the Palestinian prisoners, as well as permanent end to the hostilities and a major multi-year reconstruction plan for Gaza. Here is more.
The United Nations Security Council on Monday adopted a resolution aimed at ending the war in Gaza. The plan, penned by the United States, calls for a comprehensive ceasefire deal in 3 phases. The resolution received 14 votes in favor, with Russia abstaining. The Palestinian ambassador to the UN welcomed the reference to the occupied Palestinian territory, including Gaza, as part of the land of the State of the Palestine.
Now the burden is on the Israeli side to implement this resolution and to have the ceasefire immediately in place, and also to have the exchange, including the release of Palestinian prisoners, and to make this ceasefire a permanent ceasefire.
The plan, announced by President Joe Biden on May 31st, begins with an initial 6-week ceasefire and the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. The second phase involves a permanent end to hostilities in exchange for the release of all other hostages and a full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. The third phase includes a major multi-year reconstruction plan for Gaza and the return of the remains of any deceased hostages to their families.
American citizens and for the world. This new proposal has 3 phases. 3. The first phase would last for 6 weeks.
The UN Security Council's adoption of the U.S. ceasefire plan offers a glimmer of hope for the people of Gaza. While the path to peace is fraught with challenges, the international community remains committed to achieving a negotiated two-state solution where Israel and Palestine can live side by side in peace.
The Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, has reported a significant increase in the Delta rise, the Friday attack by militants and Israeli Islamist rebels rising to at least 41, according to the government statement on Monday. Red Cross volunteers and local residents from the village of Masala in the North Kivu province have been searching for bodies since the attack. Locals describe the scene as chaotic, with armed men using guns and machetes to attack the residents in the villages of Masala, Keme, and Mahini. Let's get the report.
Locals said armed men using guns and machetes attacked residents of the villages of Masala, Keme, and Mahini. We learned that our fleeing family members were killed along the way. Here we have 2 bodies, a girl and a boy. Look how they were killed. The group has been present in DRC for 3 decades and regularly carrying out assaults in the provinces of North Kivu and Ituri against the Congolese army and villagers. It has pledged allegiance to Islamic State. People in Masala were still in shock after the ADF militants went on their daily rampage through the village, killing people and destroying homes. The eastern part of the DRC has been plagued by violence from over 100 groups for nearly 30 years as they fight for power, land, and valuable mineral resources. More than 7 million people have been displaced by the ongoing fighting.
The United Nations Security Council as well as endorsed a U.S.-backed plan aimed at ending the 8-month war between Israel and the Hamas in Gaza. The plan, which included a 3-phase approach, was adopted with a unanimous vote of 14-0, with Russia abstaining. The resolution called for an immediate ceasefire, the release of hostages and prisoners, and a permanent end to hostilities. The plan also comprised of a major multi-year reconstruction plan for the Gaza. The plan has been welcomed by the Hamas, which has expressed its readiness to engage in direct negotiations with Israel and implement the ceasefire. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has expressed skepticism, stating that Israel will not end the war until Hamas is defeated. U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield emphasized that the fighting could cease immediately if Hamas agreed to the deal. The resolution reiterates the Security Council commitment to a two-state solution where Israel and Palestine live side by side in peace with a secure and recognized borders. Here is more.
Shall put the draft resolution to the vote now. Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2024/448 please raise their hand. The results of the voting is as follows: 14 votes in favor, 0 votes against, 1 abstention. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2735.
Colleagues, today this Council sent a clear message to Hamas. Accept the ceasefire deal on the table. Israel has already agreed to this deal, and the fighting could stop today if Hamas would do the same. I repeat, the fighting could stop today. This Council and countries across the region and the world have endorsed this agreement. Hamas can now see that the international community is united behind a deal that will save lives and help Palestinian civilians in Gaza start to rebuild and heal. United behind a deal that will reunite hostages with their families after 8 months in captivity. Today, we also reaffirmed our commitment to the vision of two states, where Israelis and Palestinians live side by side in peace within secure and recognized borders, consistent with international law and relevant UN resolutions, and where a revitalized and reformed Palestinian Authority leads a unified West Bank and Gaza.
From the very first days following Hamas's invasion and brutal massacre on October 7th, Israel's goals have been very clear: to bring all our hostages back home and to dismantle Hamas's capabilities. Israel is committed to these goals: to free all the hostages, to destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, and to ensure that Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel in the future. And as we have echoed numerous times in this very chamber, once these goals are met, the war will end.
The United Nations General Assembly UNGA elected Philomene Yang, the former Prime Minister of Cameroon, as its president for the General Assembly Program's 79th session, which will begin on September. Yang, who also served as a chairperson of the panel Eminent Africans of the African Union, expressed his gratitude to the member states for his election, underlining the importance of unity and cooperation in addressing global challenges. Young's acceptance speech highlighted the current era issues, including blatant inequalities, selfishness, and geopolitical tensions, which threaten humanity cohesion and solidarity. He accentuated that General Assembly was the most appropriate forum for member states to express their concerns, proposals, and opportunities, and that it was the highest chamber of representation for the deliberations where all states could debate and not fight. The 79th session of the General Assembly will convene on September 10, 2024, with the high-level general debate starting on this September.
Taking into account the provisions of paragraph 16 of Decision 34/401, I therefore declare His Excellency Philomene Yang of Cameroon elected by acclamation as President of the General Assembly at its 79th session.
Our era is characterized, unfortunately, by blatant inequalities, selfishness, competition for power and diverse interests, alongside powerful centrifugal forces which threaten the cohesion and solidarity of humanity. Geopolitical and geostrategic tensions continue to fuel distrust among states and are intensifying an unstoppable arms race, including in space. An exponential increase in military budgets, the sophistication of military doctrines, and rules of engagement on the ground, including the possibility of threat of the use of nuclear weapons, are the frightening realities of the world in which we live today.
And that international news brings us to our first break. We have more lined up for you. Topics you can't afford to miss. Stay tuned with us.
I think I'd do the same. I think I'd do the same because iPhone story. Hey. I think Thursday is like a Friday. You know the way you would expect a Friday night to look like. Every Thursday. And then even without remembering which date, it must be a Thursday. Oh, you are tired 3 hours. Our day I'm already a chance of story. Standard, and there's this one who is trying to be a wannabe. I want to see it.
And Africa.
What is the problem? Maybe we don't talk about it.
It's mental health. Yeah, because like lots of people, many university students are suffering from mental health. Woga na line kwa bafu. Alafu tena ndio macho anakuja kwa 30 minutes anafunga. Anafunga.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Ambassador GBS Global, and we are glad to have you join us today. Now, as we continue, Hunter Biden, the son of the United States, Joe Biden, was convicted on all 3 felony charges related to his purchase of a revolver in 2018. The jury in Wilmington, Delaware, delivered the verdict after the deliberation about 3 hours over 2 days. The charges stem from allegations that Hunter Biden lied on a mandatory gun purchase form, stating he was not legally using or addicted to drugs. Prosecutors claim that he falsely declared he was not unlawfully using it and addicted to any stimulant narcotic drug when he bought the weapon. Hunter Biden, 54, was found guilty of making a false statement for acquiring a firearm, making a false statement to obtain records, and an illegal possession of the firearm. He faces up to 25 years in prison when he's sentenced by Judge Marilyn Noriega, although first-time president offenders typically could not receive the maximum present. The judge did not set a sentencing date, but experts suggested that the possibility of prison exists. His wife, Melissa Cohen Biden, was present in the courtroom along with his aunt, Valerie Biden Owens, and the First Lady, Jill Biden. U.S. President Joe Biden highlighted the administrative efforts to strengthen the gun laws and increase penalties for those who violate them during a speech he delivered at a gun safety event in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. Biden's speech came just hours after his son Hunter Biden was convicted of 3 felony counts related to lying on federal firearms application in 2018. Despite this personal challenge, the president remained committed to his anti-crime stance, highlighting the administration's effort to strengthen gun laws and increase penalties for those who violate them. The president also praised the progress made on firearms safety reforms, acknowledging that there was still much work to be done. He called for a ban on assault weapons and the end to the gun manufacturers' legal immunity and the passage of universal background checks. Biden's speech comes amidst a backdrop of ongoing gun violence in the United States, with a nearly equal numbers of Americans taking opposite sides in the gun safety debate.
Folks, it's okay. Look, they care. Innocent children have been lost. We also make gun trafficking and straw purchasing a federal crime for the first time, giving prosecutors the legal tools to charge traffickers and hold them accountable for the more severe penalties that are available. The law strengthens background checks for anyone under the age of 21 trying to purchase a firearm. And it's about time. There's more we have to do there. It's a big deal. Since the law was passed and implemented, the FBI stopped more than 700 sales of firearms for individuals under the age of 21. And about 20,000 unlicensed firearms dealers are now required to become licensed to run background checks, which will keep guns out of dangerous hands. Second, the Act helps stop mass shootings, provides $750 million to state.
The Paris Peace Forum, which advocates for fair transitions, particularly in the context of reconciling environmental preservations with reducing the energy gap in Morocco, was conducted, with this year's theme underlying the need for equitable and sustainable transitions amidst global challenges such as climate change, widening inequalities, and environment crisis. The forum's spring meeting in Morocco, hosted by the University Mohammed IV Polytechnic, brought together global governance actors to focus on fair transition. Here is the full report.
A Paris Forum held at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in Bengueri, Morocco, is not only the first but also a symbol of the common interest between the North and the South and Africa's essential role in addressing global challenges. Technologies are not local. Innovations and adaptations of technology to local realities are what's local, but technology itself is global. When the young researchers work on technology, their horizon is the world, not just Morocco or Africa. That's the motto of UM6P, truly empowering minds to develop sovereign technologies on the African continent and also to address the global challenges.
Only 40% of the African population have access to electricity. If someone doesn't have access to electricity, of course they don't have access to health, they don't have access to education, they don't have access, of course, to industry. So what kind of transition are we talking about? For me, it's just access. We need to make our people understand that they have rights to access electricity and energy and access education, quality education, not any education, and access health, and then develop themselves and develop their communities. And when we are in the same position, then we can talk about what is fair and what is not.
The question that
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held bilateral talks with his counterparts from Saudi Arabia and Sri Lanka on the sidelines of the BRICS foreign ministers meeting in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, a meeting aimed at strengthening ties and discussing cooperation between the countries involved. Lavrov emphasized on the importance of the BRICS in establishing a more just global order and criticized Western sanctions and financial blackmail against Russia. The talks also touched on the potential expansion of BRICS, including major oil-producing nations such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. Let's get the report.
Please take a seat. Thank you for coming to this ministerial meeting. We missed you today, but we will certainly enjoy your company tomorrow. I am sure you were briefed about the discussion. We agreed on a communique, which is an important document. We'll circulate it in the United Nations.
I want to thank you for having it here, because it's a beautiful city. I've never have, of course, never
I
been
was
here.
here about 10 years ago. It was very different.
Really?
It really is booming.
Yeah, I saw on the way here they're building a new stadium, looks like. So, no, very impressive and beautiful. And, so I'm glad that we get to see a bit more of Russia.
I'm glad you like it.
Head of South Africa's Department on Higher Education International Relations stated that Russia was a friend to the African continent and its ties with the region was strengthening. This was evident from the recent visit of the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Guinea, Chad, and Burkina Faso, aiming to bolster support for Moscow amidst Russian isolation on the world stage. Russia's engagement with Africa has been multifaceted as the second Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg. President Vladimir Putin highlighted on the country's commitment to strengthening economic and security cooperation with the continent. Russia has concluded military technical cooperation agreements with over 40 African countries, supplying a wide range of weapons and equipment. Overall, Russia's efforts strengthening its ties with Africa now reflect on its commitment to multipolar world order and its desire to build a more equitable and a cooperative relationship with the continent.
Russia is our friend as South Africa, but not only South Africa, is the friend of the African continent. And we are always here to support the initiatives that are, taken by the Russian government. We have good working relationship with the Russian government through our participation in BRICS and the G20. As you know, that South Africa was hosting BRICS last year, and Russia is hosting BRICS this year, and next year we are hosting the G20.
In Amman, Jordan, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres also called for an urgent humanitarian relief for Gaza, emphasizing the dire conditions faced by its 1.7 million displaced residents. Guterres highlighted the severe lack of medical supplies, clean water and food, urging for an independent humanitarian access and safety aid for the workers. The call for the action and urgent humanitarian response for Gaza conference aims to strengthen the international community response to the benevolent crisis in Gaza. Here is the report.
Despite the ocean of needs, at least half of all humanitarian aid missions are denied access, impeded or cancelled due to operational or security reasons. On top of all these, since the attack on the Rafah border crossing 1 month ago, the flow of critical humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza, which was already woefully inadequate, has plummeted by 2/3. The horror must stop. It's high time for a ceasefire, along with the unconditional release of hostages. I welcome the peace initiative recently outlined by President Biden and urge all parties to seize this opportunity and come to an agreement. And I call on all parties to respect their obligations under international humanitarian law. This includes facilitating the delivery of humanitarian aid both into and inside Gaza, as they have committed. All available routes into Gaza must be operational. I also call for the world to stand united to safeguard UNRWA in the face of outrageous and relentless attacks. UNRWA's role will remain critical, not only during the...
In a desperate bid to alleviate the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza, Jordan King Abdullah II emphasized the aid could not wait for a ceasefire and must be a subject to political agendas. King Abdullah II stressed that the humanitarian access to Gaza cannot wait for a ceasefire and could not be as subject to the political agendas of any party. He highlighted the devastating impact of the conflict, which has left over 1.7 million people displaced, over 50,000 children suffering from malnutrition. The king also commended on Egypt, Jordan for their efforts in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza, including airdrops and field hospitals, urging the international community to support these efforts and ensure the safe and unimpeded delivery of aid to the people of Gaza. He made these remarks at the emergency conference held on the shores of the Dead Sea, where international leaders gathered to address the urgent needs of the Gaza Strip.
My friends, the international humanitarian response in Gaza has been severely lacking, with the delivery of aid facing obstacles at every level. Humanitarian access cannot wait for a ceasefire and cannot be subject to the political agendas of any party. The people of Gaza are not looking to us for platitudes and speeches. They want action, and they need that now.
And that international news brings us to the end of our ambassador. GBS Global. It's been a great pleasure having you on board, joining us to the end. Here at the ambassador, where we continue to bring you the latest updates, global developments, as you keep it logged with us. Have been your ambassador, Jennifer Macau, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the ambassador tomorrow, same time, same place, at 1 p.m. And may you all have a superb and the most beautiful and a wonderful afternoon.
Everywhere, GBS.